So now we're going to get Brooke from EWPA coming and presenting. He's the technical manager at the Engineering Wood Product Association of Australasia, so EWPA, and is responsible for overseeing the EWPA product certification scheme, coordination, standard development activity, representing the EWPA member on Standard Australia. It doesn't seem that you're doing so much. Like when I wrote it, seems to be short, but no, you're doing so much. And it's connecting the industry with research provider and center to help align research outcome with industry needs. And probably, I'm sure you're doing actually so way more than that. So Harrison, please.
Yeah. I think I have stolen these slides off our WCTE presentation, so it's going to automatically flick over every 15 seconds, which should keep me on time, or I'll just flick back and forth. So sorry about that. Benoit basically just described what I do and what we do very briefly, which is pretty much all I'm going to do today anyway. I don't have the time to go through everything that we do as an organization. So hopefully I can provide a bit of context about who we are. And I guess while we're here today, because we're really passionate about industry-focused RD&E and the communication between researchers and the industry. So that's something I want to try to get across to you today. Who are we really? The EWPA is an industry technical association formed in 1934 as the Queensland Plywood Board. 34, 32, depends on who you ask, but we'll stick with 34. Over the years, it broadened out into being Australia-wide Plywood Association, and then merging with the Australian Wood Panels Association to become the EWPAA in the mid-2000s. So we represent across industry, basically majority of the big manufacturers across Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea and Fiji when it comes to engineered wood products and machine-graded timber, and the recent expansion into CLT and glulam as well. So just a bit of a snapshot of who we represent. When you see our faces, you're also seeing our network connections through to the industry who are manufacturing wood products across Australia. And part of why we're here today is that we really believe that getting more timber into the built environment is really important when it comes to decarbonisation, because we know carbon is stored in timber. And we also have members across the supply chain from adhesives and chemical suppliers who are providing solutions to make engineered wood products possible, which expands our applications. More buildings can be made out of our renewable and sustainable product, and we can preserve those applications for a longer period, longer storage of carbon and all those sorts of things. There's the list of what we do, which Benoit basically just rambled off in a few seconds. It keeps us busy. We're a really small team and we seem to pop up everywhere. That's the feedback that we get, because we're just in so many people's spaces, because we really care about our industry as a whole. I guess the main core of our business is actually operating a product certification scheme, so not R&D. We have a JASANS accredited product certification scheme across all types of engineered wood products and structural wood products in the manufacturing sector. It's a Type 5 ISO accredited scheme, meaning that we don't just test a product once and say it's all good. We're out there in the mills every 6 to 12 months. We're looking at their process control. We're looking at quality systems. We're looking at resources. We're looking at testing. We do our own testing in our own lab. We go out to the market and see the products that we certify. Compared to some more simple certification schemes, this keeps us really busy, because if you go back and have a look at the range of people that we work with, most of them have one or more manufacturing sites across our region that we go out to quite regularly. The product certification side of things is really important because it's a commitment to quality. Product certification in Australia is voluntary. So these companies are paying for us to go out there. They want us out there on a voluntary basis to make sure their products are fit for purpose. They meet Australian standards. It has a good technical rigor behind it, given our history in engineered wood products, as opposed to certification bodies who just do a range of different things across all different industries. So it's really well respected in our market. And then why we're here today is facilitation of RD&E. So through our activities as a certification body, sitting on standards development committees, which I do far too much of, we start to understand commercial realities, we start to understand resource changes, we start to understand manufacturing systems, and we start to see gaps in knowledge, we start to see gaps in communication between people, and where the research and development is needed throughout our industry. I'll let that go on, but you'll notice here that I bolded communication, and that's something we're super passionate about at the moment, because between Gavin and I, we can't count on our limbs how many different steering committees and projects we've been involved in or currently still involved in. This week, we've been at WCTE, which has been a huge positive in terms of communication. We got people in the room today from industry and academia, and that connection and what DBI is doing is super important, because time and time again, we're seeing We got to translate the issues that industry has into a research environment, which is a really difficult thing to do, to understand the different variables, to understand what scientifically can be done about something. But the communication right at the start of the project to identify the problem is important, but that's not the end of the story. It continues on. So a forum like this that is getting together collectively on a regular basis is important to keep the conversation going, not just about new products, but things that are new projects, but things that are ongoing. I threw a few pictures here on the end, and I'm hoping this sort of triggers some of my thoughts that are gathered over WCTE this week. Because we work across the manufacturing sector, I didn't want to show all these sexy buildings and things like that, which we will really get excited about, but this is like the bread and butter of what we do. We're talking about wood fiber, we're talking about logs. That's where we work. Some of the things that I found over the last week or so and some discussions with different people is that our manufacturing sites traditionally in regional remote areas, but they're being swallowed up by the urban sprawl. So rather than being central to the forestry, the land that we're using for forestry, forests are moving further away from our manufacturers. So when it comes to decarbonising, yes, carbon in the products is fantastic, but how do we make getting that carbon to the factory more efficient? How do we get products out to the people and the buildings more efficient as well in terms of our carbon footprint? Different types of products out there to try to increase our focus on circular economy. Particle board is just one of those ones that's already using recycled timber as a fairly basic method of getting some more recycled fiber back into our built environment. Also biofuel, biomass, all those sorts of things. Important things to look at when it comes to decarbonisation, if we can find a way to use our products in a more efficient way and reduce waste. So that's pretty much summary of why we're here, less of who we are, but why we're here. So if you wanted to find out more, then feel free to come and see me throughout the day.